We now have Ben Brangwyn, who is the co-founder of the Transition Towns movement.
God, it's nice to see a politician with a bit of a backbone, isn't it? Really.
More of them.
Kudos to you. Yeah, we need more of them. So, my name's Ben Brangwyn. I work for a small charity called Transition Network, and our job is to support and inspire transition initiatives around the world as they look climate change and peak oil squarely in the eye and kind of redesign their community to adjust to those two challenges. Now, there's been a lot of talk about direct action, and people have often said, what's the difference between a sort of what people do in a transition town and going on a march? And I thought there's one really good illustration of that I should kind of illustrate it. So if you imagine you're in your local community and a supermarket is threatening to come in, well, that's really bad news for any rational analysis on an economic and a carbon analysis. So there are kind of three things you can do. You can lobby your local politicians to say, don't let them in. That's one. You can stand in front of the machines as they start breaking the ground to put the supermarket in. And that's another very, very important one. And the third one is you can build a local food system that renders that supermarket superfluous to requirements. And that's very much the transition approach. So redesigning the key systems that we rely on to survive and thrive in our communities. So just building on what Paul Allen was talking about with Zero Carbon Britain, it's absolutely important that technical discussion takes place, that a report is produced that shows the politicians that this stuff is feasible. But then we've got to think about, well, what does at a local level a zero carbon food system look like? What at a local level does a zero carbon energy production system look like? What at a local level is the kind of infrastructure we need to encourage and support local low carbon jobs? Now, this isn't a sort of task you can give to a politician to kind of to parachute in and solve all your problems for you. That's for local people to do, local people who understand their place, understand the demographic, understand their landscape, and understand the place much more intimately than anybody else can. So very much a bottom-up redesign for these key aspects. And really they're engaging with the whole notion of energy descent, which is very much part of the Zero Carbon Britain. We have to power down from the high carbon energy sources that we've got and power up on renewables, and that will involve a net energy descent, which is a kind of interesting thing to think about what that means at the local level. So how are they engaging with this? They're kind of thinking about resilience, about how local communities don't really have the resilience right now to withstand the shocks that are going to accompany peak oil, that are going to accompany climate change as well. They kind of working on the basis that we've got to act now and that we've got to act together, collaboratively. And they're saying to themselves, well, you know, we used massive amounts of creativity, collaboration, ingenuity as we went up the energy slope, and why would that all disappear on the way down? You know, so the creative engagement of the local community to decide what are these local jobs that are going to be that are much, much lower carbon and are going to give us that green economy at the local level. And that's not to say that global, national agreements aren't important. They're absolutely crucial. Transition towns are at the local level. And I think the last thing they're thinking of is, if we wait for the governments, it'll be too little, too late. If we do it as individuals, it's just going to be too little. But if we do it as communities together, then it might just be just enough, just in time, and it'll certainly be a way that we can lead the government, who are followers, in my view, not leaders. It gives something for the government to follow that will take us towards the zero carbon Britain we need. Thanks very much.